I haven't really filmed anything where I'm talking with the camera because honestly, I've just been exhausted. Um, I flew into Taipei, I think around 3 days now, 3 days ago, and I got to the airport at like around 6 p.m. And it took me around 2.5 hours to get out of the airport, which sounds kind of bad, but honestly I wasn't mad about it. People who were working there were super efficient, and it really just took that long because there were that many people. But in terms of the turnaround of like the different services we had to go through and the different procedures, it was all very organized. um, and yeah, I felt myself feeling a little sentimental when I first arrived. Maybe it's just because like I literally didn't sleep for 48 hours at that point, so I was like slightly delirious. But I don't know, I think something about people speaking Chinese and like Mandarin in a Taiwanese accent just really gets me. I just feel so at home. I feel like because I'm so used to in New York, we have obviously people who speak Mandarin from like all across China, like Taiwan, Hong Kong. So I'm like really used to a variety of accents, but being like so concentrated with everybody literally all speaking the same really just kind of made me emotional. Also, another thing I was gonna add is that when I came out of the aircraft, I just felt this blanket of humidity that is so quintessential to arriving in Taiwan after being away for a long time. However, I have to say, I don't know if it's because in the past I would always come maybe later in the summer, but it wasn't as hot as I thought it was gonna be when I got here. I'm getting ready right now to leave my house I'm like always stained with water every time I wash my face. Honestly, what is it now? It's like 12:30 p.m. I had plans to be up and ready to go way earlier, but this morning, I don't know, I was just feeling kind of in some kind of funk, a little maybe overwhelmed by all the things I need to do. So I just ended up watching Terrace House for like 2 hours. But now I'm up. So it's been about 4 days since the last clip, and it's been kind of an emotional few days for me. So this all started when I was about to leave to go outside because my isolation period was over with the quarantine, and I had a few essential tasks that I had to get done. Yeah, so it's kind of funny and ironic because right before I left, one of my friends back in New York, actually, we were in like a group chat talking about something else, and I told them that I was gonna step outside for the first time since I got here, and she was like, "Stay safe out there, Sylvia." And lo and behold, pretty much a few hours later, I got scammed, like majorly. So what happened was I was trying to go to an ATM to withdraw some cash because I couldn't buy a Taiwan Metro card without cash. And the location of this quarantine resident is actually pretty convenient. It's, I think, considered Dongqi, which is like one of the more affluent areas of Taipei. So there's a lot of like fancy department stores that have really expensive brand names. Generally a shopping street with a lot of different restaurants and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, I didn't think much of it. I thought I was like in a pretty safe area of Taiwan, so I was just like about doing my errands. But I was walking towards a bank and people were handing out free samples of things. So I like picked up some like free sample like SPF, and then I was like walking, and then this other woman was like handing out I think some kind of lotion, and I just like took it and didn't really think much of it. And then she was like, oh, like she kind of called after me, which is like, oh, can I just like show you this one product we have? She was like pretty young, probably in her like 20s, very stylish woman, and I wasn't in a rush or anything, so I was like, yeah, sure, why not, you can show it to me. Pretty much I ended up going to the store that, at least from my perspective, looked like any other skincare product stores that we see on the streets, and it's like a shopping area. So, you know, I didn't have my guard up when it was happening. I was in there for maybe about like 30 minutes, so quite a long time. So long story short, I don't know, recounting this still makes me like kind of, I don't know, just triple think what my thought process was during the whole time I was there talking to these two skincare salespeople. Ultimately, I ended up buying a few of them, and they were quite expensive. When I say very expensive, it's like money that I would never spend on skincare, plus a little bit more than that. Like I never really spend that much money on skincare, which I think is a good red flag within itself, because generally I just go to CVS. I think there were a lot of moments that should have been red flags, but I ended up reading a review or Yelp reviews from their Las Vegas store, and it was just like pretty horrific. After I saw these reviews, I went to get dinner, and I was just like, maybe I got scammed, but I still didn't come to like that conclusion exactly yet, because I had such a pleasant or such a amicable experience with the salespeople that I felt like it would be wild if it was actually all just a scam. So I ended up pretty much like 2-3 hours after I left the store, I came back again with my product like unopened, everything is still inside, and I told them about could I please return the product, and they told me, oh, that's not something that is allowed by the store. You couldn't return, you can only get store credits. And I think it might be like different cultural norms, but I'm so used in the US, like most of the time you can return things within 24 hours for sure, and especially if things are not open. And I think personally it's very important for the store, and I asked them, oh, did you ever tell me that it was like non-refundable and this is final sale? Because like when I shop at other stores, if it's final sale and they don't allow you to return, they will like just let you know, or at least there's like a sign on the cashier which you can see the return policy. And when I asked them for a physical signage anywhere in the store, they told me that they didn't have one. But anywho, so that all happened, and then I ended up leaving. When I left, I walked like a few steps down. Somebody called my attention. I turned around. It was this like more older man. He was actually a security guard, and he told me that he's always in the area and he sees every other day or so somebody comes back with kind of a conflict with the salespeople, similar to the one I had, and he sees it happen a lot, and he's under the belief that the store has very scam-like practices when it comes to sales. So he encouraged me to go talk to the police station to ask about the Consumer Protection Bureau and ask them how to submit a formal complaint. But yeah, and this all happened 2 hours, not even, like an hour after I left my quarantine residence. So I just felt really like distraught afterwards. Part of it obviously is like the amount of money that was spent. Like I was kind of blaming myself a lot for getting fooled or getting caught up in this sales scheme, and then also doubting whether it's actually a scam where I just like made dumb purchasing decisions. Because when I was like in school, my family did support me in a lot of ways, but I didn't want to use their money for like discretionary things like going on vacation or buying things for myself. So I will always use my work study money. So I was always very like careful with like every dollar, every cent. I would do like really wild stuff, like taking a 14-hour bus ride versus like flying from point A to B just to save maybe like $20-30. But then but for me, that was like my attempt at being as economical as possible. So I've been in the past few years, like now that I've worked for a few years, really thinking and kind of reworking my relationship with money, and like having a good balance of one being making sure you're budgeting correctly and not spending beyond your means, but also not getting so fixated on the very on like certain amounts that it detracts from you being able to like focus on the things that you should be doing. So having something like being scammed a large amount of money for really like nothing is really distressing for me. I feel like I failed in certain ways and it made me feel quite low. But I'm at a much better place now. I think I've really thought it through and just like forgive myself for being a noob and just trying to move forward and focusing on the things that I plan to do with my time here, and also just like spending time with people that I love and focusing more of my energy on that instead of my past mistake. I was talking to my parents about this and they were telling me how I probably have reverse culture shock. Grew up here for the first like 7-8 years of my life, and in a lot of ways that I didn't consider New York my home, even though I lived there for more time than that. I've always held on to feeling like I know Taiwan, I have family here, I've been here, I come here. I used to come back like more often during the summer when I was still like before college and stuff. So this is like something I'm familiar with, a very safe place for me to travel to, especially move alone, because I mean, I've been here, it's my country. But the reality is I was a child when I left the country, and I never had to do anything that was like vaguely complicated. And when I came back in the summers I did, I was with family. It's just like a very different situation, and I have to like scale back and realize I am moving to another country that I have never really truly lived independently. And so there are many things that I might not know as someone who has been out of the country for so long. And I think one part of it, I'm not trying to say, oh, Taiwan's such an unsafe place, because I think Taiwan does have quite good public safety. But at the same time, just like how everywhere there are like people out to get you, you should still be careful and not be too unaware of some of the ways that you can put yourself in a dangerous position. I describe this as, if you ever visit New York and go to Times Square, you're gonna see a lot of grown adults in these costumes, Mickey Mouse or sometimes Avengers characters. They're dressed up like that. And I think another classic one is like the Elmo costume. If you get approached by these people in character asking to take a picture with you, don't do it. Because if you were to take a picture with them, they're gonna charge you an exorbitant amount of money for that picture you took. And it's just a tourist trap in a lot of ways. If you weren't from New York, you might not know that as much, and you might approach the creepy Elmo and get scammed. And I think that's what happened to me, where it's like, if you are from here and you grew up here, you know if people are trying so hard to sell you something and give you a lot of discounts, promising you a lot of things that seems too good to be true, even if they're in a brick and mortar store with beautiful decor and very impressive websites that they show you and they claim to be luxury good, if you don't know about the brand and if they seem to not let you go, then I think they would say don't even go in the store to begin with, like how you don't approach the creepy Elmo.